since we've kind of arrived at the Siakam conversation already, let's have that Siakam conversation now. And I think it does start with the idea that Pascal would, given the reports, given the indication that he's not a guy who is going to be signing on the dotted line tomorrow to extend. Now, to be fair, a place like Golden State, a place like the Bay Area, with Steph Curry, it gives you certain advantages to re-sign a player like that because, one, you're staying competitive. Two, obviously, great location, great area for him to play in. And three, if that contract inevitably ends up being there, he's going to be a part of a contender. And I think that plays a huge factor for trading for a guy like Pascal. When it comes to what the package is, I would agree with you. I think even from the Raptors' perspective, they would prefer the expiring salary of Chris Paul and then having to attach whatever.
Interesting.
I just because you're getting off the money, and then next year the Raptors would have cap space to be able to go out and get someone, whatever that might be.
Right.
But I think that's an interesting aspect of it. It's like, what would you prefer? And from the Warriors side of things, if you are trying to compete this year, having the size of Wiggins, having the versatility that Wiggins could potentially provide you in a lineup with Siakam, with Draymond, with Clay, with Steph,
for sure,
makes a lot more sense, right? Like I don't know.
It makes a lot of sense to me. I'm always curious to hear what people like you who know the Raptors better than me say, because I know Amon wasn't sure if they'd want like an expiring contract. I think it's attractive, like you. The thing is, to me, it's like I think Masai probably wants Jonathan Kuminga, and who seems like a Masai type of player.
Listen, I'll say this right now. At the draft, when the Kuminga draft, which was 2021, they loved him. They loved Jonathan Kuminga, and it was very close. Like, even at that time, there was that conversation of Pascal for 7 plus 14, and I think it was Wiggins. Right. You know what I mean? I'm sure right now they're probably trying to pursue the similar package, but yeah, who knows if that's going to be the case.
Crazy to think about.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the Warriors are willing to come off Kuminga unless they have some kind of assurance from Pascal, right? I think that's the only way that they would consider it. I am curious, do you guys think that he would be willing to lose Pascal for nothing after just losing Fred for nothing?
We were just talking about that off air a little bit before you jumped on. Look, the thing with Pascal is that, and the difference between Fred is that Pascal is wholeheartedly the franchise player of this team. Fred was obviously, he became an all-star, one of the great development stories for the Raptors of like recent years, but he wasn't the guy they were building around. Pascal, for the last 4 or 5 years, has been the guy that they were building around. And now that they have Scotty Barnes, it puts into question the fact that they are building around a guy like Pascal. He's obviously 30 years old. There's the whole timeline conversations of building younger guy. I don't necessarily like believe in that type of stuff. I think you can still have older players and younger guys and just like develop throughout. But at the same time, he is going to want a max contract. There is that fact that they are not going to be willing to pay the luxury tax. And with a contract like RJ Barrett baking in Emmanuel Quickley's contract extension, they just won't have the money to keep a guy like Pascal.
Right.
So from that perspective, like I would say right now, 97% chance that Pascal is traded by the deadline, 5% chance that he stays. And maybe that 5% chance grows. Maybe they don't like the offers that they see. We were just talking about Dallas off air. Golden State is obviously a place that's been mentioned a bunch, Sacramento. But if those deals aren't there and they don't transpire, maybe an extension is revisited. But I would be very, very surprised given the cap craziness that is coming for them this summer if they do extend a guy like Pascal. Well,
I want to propose a trade to you if it was with the Warriors, and tell me what you think of it.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
So what if it was not Jonathan Kuminga, but it was Moses Moody with Chris Paul's expiring and a pick thrown in? What would you think about a deal centered around Moody instead? Because I think he may actually be a better fit for the team.
Yeah.
And also, like, I mean, I'm sort of on the it's better to get something than nothing, but I don't think Moody. I feel like if you've actually been paying attention to Moses Moody, I mean, Zach Lowe is writing about Moses Moody. He really is a player with a lot of potential who I don't think
I agree
has
with
been
you.
giving a fair chance in Golden State. And I feel like you guys have a history of taking, our players and making them look great later. No, but shout out to Boucher.
Shout out
But
to Chris Boucher, who by the way did not miss a shot yesterday against the Warriors.
yeah,
7 for 7.
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
no.
but I mean, to me, I actually think that's a really reasonable offer for a rental, if you will, because they don't know what's going to happen. You're getting a young piece. You don't have to worry about Chris Paul's contract, and you get a pick. I'm sure of course, Masai would love that a lot more if it was like Kuminga instead. But what do you think about a deal like that? And would you like that over the other options out there? Right now, it seems like the Kings are off the table. I don't know what Dallas is offering. I don't know if you like what Indy's offering. So what do you think about that?
So it's funny because like in the back of my head, I know what some of these offers are. And so you're asking a good person, but I'm also trying to like not be as forthcoming with like the exact offers because I don't want to give out the information as well. It's a little bit of a tricky situation.
Understandable, yeah.
But at the same time, I think if you're looking at it, by the way, I completely agree with you that Moses Moody is a good player. And if I had to look at like, Kuminga has been good. He's shown flashes here and there, but Moody makes so much more sense for the Warriors rotation. And it never kind of added up to me why he was getting the short end of the stick in that rotation. A guy who can potentially, he hasn't shot the ball well this season, but like potentially can space the floor. You talked about the defensive issues earlier. He solves a lot of their defensive issues at the point of attack, perimeter defense. Like Moody does save. And I can't remember who they were playing, but there was a game in which he just absolutely demolished the team to start the fourth quarter, and Steve Kerr pulled him out, benched him for the rest of the game for Wiggins. And
Pretty
you're like,
sure
what
was
is
Dallas? Maybe
was that Dallas?
You might have. I can't remember, but yeah, it was when Steve Kerr then said, he did a bad coaching job the next day.
Right. Yeah. And that blew my mind because it's like you can't be that rigid in your coaching perspective to not see what's happening right in the game. And that's a whole nother conversation on Steve Kerr and everything that happened Steve Kerr related. To the point of the trades, I think Indiana has had multiple offers in place for Pascal. Those offers would be better than the Moody plus Chris Paul plus pick. Atlanta has had multiple different offers in place that would be better than the Moody plus Chris Paul plus pick. But at the same time, Pascal has not been really forthcoming when it comes to indicating his willingness to stay and extend in those places. And that's why a trade hasn't happened, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we haven't had a Pascal Siakam trade. It's been an ongoing rumor for the last 12 months. And I think that kind of shows you that maybe those offers are only on the table if he is willing to extend, if he gives an indication he's willing to extend. And so if we're talking about this from a different perspective, which is he is not willing to extend, he is not willing to do this, then it comes to the conversation of Dallas. Then it comes to the conversation of Golden State and the Moody situation and, other situations with Sacramento and whatnot. Then it gets a little bit trickier. By the way, to your point about Fred earlier and last month, the report was Terrence Mann and salary and like a very, very late protected first round pick. I tend to agree with you that you might as well get something instead of nothing. And from that perspective, if you do feel as though Pascal is going to walk this summer, which I would be surprised, to be honest with you, if you do feel that there is that indication, then you got to get something. And Moody might as well be that something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see them having, aside from putting up Kuminga, which I feel they're not going to do for a risk, like I feel like they're not even playing Moody anyways. I feel like they'd part with him for a risk. I don't think that they would Kuminga, but I mean, you guys don't want Andrew Wiggins, so it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what else are you gonna give up? So I'd be curious to see what happens with Pascal. I mean, to probably Toronto's advantage, the Warriors are a little desperate to make some change.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
as of right now, at least the reports, you know how it is with trades, right? There's a lot of posturing, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
all of a sudden the deal gets
Leverage
happen
plays.
happens.
Yeah.
So who knows if they're really unwilling to come off of Jonathan Kuminga, but at least right now that seems to be their position.